Prior to the December 7 elections, persons with disabilities were concerned that they may be disenfranchised again. Weeks after the polls, the Ghana Federation of Disability Organization has rated the Electoral Commission 51% for efforts made to provide voting materials in accessible format and independent voting procedures. They, however, insist that physical accessibility to voting centers was a challenge. A report by Shelley Bewa.
For too long, the concerns of people with disabilities with regard to voting and access to the polling stations have not received the needed attention. The 2016 elections presented an excellent opportunity for some changes. The Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations trained about 200 election observers and were deployed to various constituencies in the 10 regions of the country. Each was tasked to visit 5 polling centers. In all, about 1,000 polling centers were visited for electoral observation by persons with disabilities. It was under a Star Ghana, UK Aid and DFID project dubbed Inclusion Matters, Access and Participation of Persons with Disabilities in Election 2016.
Before we embark on the observation, we had a checklist that was into sections. One of the sections was to find out the polling station setup. That would give us the opportunity to tell in our analysis whether the polling station was accessible or not. And the other one was about inclusion, whether we were included in the electoral process by looking at the number of persons with disability who were EC officials and those who were party polling agents. Then we also look at the issue of physical accessibility as well as tactile voting and verification.
Elvis Alupui, a physically challenged election observer, said although there were some challenges, generally there have been some improvements.
Past election, we didn't get easy. I can't even print the paper because it's too high. But with the one-on-one discussion, table meeting discussion with the GFD, I vote this year free and fair. You can see the booth is at the level that I can print. There's no challenge about the disability, but in all, I can say this year election, we have get some improvement.
George Abelsi, a visually impaired observer, says there was tactile ballots available at almost all centers that he visited.
There were some places you go, when you ask, they'll say it is there. I said, let me hold it and see whether it is there. Because you tell me it is there. Meanwhile, because I can't see, I don't know whether it is true or not. So I ask for it to be, to feel it and know that yes, it's true, the jacket is there. So during my rounds, all the places I visited, the jacket was available.
Joshua Makobu visited 5 polling centers at Nkwanta South in the Volta region and says this time round, the Electoral Commission took into consideration the plight of persons with disabilities.
This time around, the EC did extremely very well as far as polling booths were concerned. So that persons in a wheelchair, you don't have to stretch, and little people, the people you call them short people, you don't have to also struggle. That one was very smooth. And the tactile ballots, jacket, as they were saying, were present.
However, observers still had issues with accessibility of polling centers.
I find about 2 schools, the environment is not that favor us, especially the wheelchair users. And the table and the officials were placed at the verandas at 2 schools.
There was a place that I got the queue was on the road, which is dangerous. And there was another place I got the place was not accessible for even wheelchair users to go there. It was rocky all over. When a wheelchair person going there, he cannot even manage unless they push him, because he himself he cannot manage to the place, which was dangerous.
Bunache, what happened was that the police station was not on the veranda, but it was situated among thick trees that have been planted on the school compound. This one obviously to get the shade that was coming from the trees. So a lady came in a wheelchair. It was difficult for her to negotiate her ways. And I said I wanted them to allow her to be able to vote. So the EC officials, some got up and they have to push their chairs for her to negotiate her way through. But it got to a point it was not possible. So they carried the verification machine to her, and then she was verified, and then moved to get the ballot paper, and then went and voted.
Following the coming on board of a new regime, the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations have some expectations peculiar to their respective groups. During his campaign, the president-elect Nana Akufo-Addo announced the one district, one factory policy. Persons with disabilities are urging the newly elected MPP government to start with them.
We wish a person with disability, who most of our challenge is the employment. Because if a person with disability is working, he's no more a disabled person. Because since we can flow money in the house, nobody think about your disability. So we want the new president to come and facilitate that, so that we don't call ourselves vulnerable as we used to call. So the first factory should be in the disability village. We don't have only chalk factory. We have some of our members who are into leather works, sewing. So we want the new government to fix all our challenges. Because we are, how many are we in this country? Just few.
We presented 4 major areas to the political parties for inclusion in their party manifestos. And the MPP lifted word for word what we presented to them. So I don't think they should have a challenge now, because it is in their manifesto, and if they are going to implement their manifesto, we want to see the employment quota where persons with disability in every government institution will have at least 5% stake as their portion of employment. And they were also talking about contracts, the project that to be funded with what? The taxpayers' money, 70% of it to be sourced from local persons, and 30% of the 70% to be sourced from what? Businesses owned by persons with disability, the young ones, and women.
This white cane project that we are using, they import it. But if we are able to assemble it locally in the country, the cost will even come down, so that people can afford to buy. I think they should also add it to their factory. The blind union also need a factory to assemble our white canes, because there are no canes in the country. The other one costs about 45 cedis.
The 2016 elections is over, but it presented a unique platform to improve the voting experience of persons with disabilities. For GBC 24, Shelley Bewa reporting.